Hi, I'm Victor, one of the co-hosts of Mom Said It's My Turn on the podcast. Tonight is a very special night. It's an episode of Momscast that ends in 0, which makes it a Momscast Presents episode. With Momscast Presents, we want to flex our creative muscle and see what magic we can make when not restricted to a weekly formula. This week, we will be taking a little trip to the theater. Drama and theater have played a significant role in society since ancient times, providing a means of entertainment, education, and cultural expression. Theater has the power to create a shared experience among people, allowing us to collectively explore ideas and, more importantly, emotions. It allows us to question and challenge societal norms. Through drama and theater, we're able to express ourselves creatively and emotionally, and develop understanding for others. Fundamentally, theater allows us to be truly human. My co-host Brandon has prepared 3 plays for you. Like the Greeks before us, we have both comedy and drama. These plays are in the public domain, making them very old, and even dated at some points. Tonight, you will experience Echo by Joseph Shipley, 14 by Alice Gerstenberg, and The Game by Louis Bryant. Echo. A lovers quarrel at a cafe, prompting us to look inwards at how we change during our relationships. Identity and love are intertwined, as our sense of self is often shaped by the people and experiences we love. Love can provide a sense of belonging, helping us to define who we are in relation to others. The love we receive from others can give us a sense of validation and acceptance, helping us build confidence in ourselves and our identities. At the same time, love can also challenge us to examine our identities and questions the beliefs and values we hold when we love. When we love someone who is different from us, we might be forced to confront our biases. Echo makes us reflect on how our lovers may change us in ways we didn't see coming. Performing in Echo, we have my esteemed colleague and co-host Brandon as I, the emotional self, and as Harold, the lovely P. Money Peyton, regular guest of the podcast, as myself, the rational self. New guest Abby as Mary. So without further delay, let our first story commence.
You're a fool if you go messing with that subject. There's much more money in writing a bedroom farce.
You know your dreaming will never make you any money. You've got to look at the facts.
You don't have to stare at yourself all the time, as though you're looking for Jehovah.
I am looking for Jehovah. And Satan.
If you watched other things more, life wouldn't be such a dreary mess. Now those ankles this afternoon.
Sensualist. I tell you, I've got to understand.
Analyze. Don't you see that all the fun in this world comes from misunderstanding? On the day when everyone understands all his neighbors, the world will collapse with boredom. I'd rather misunderstand than miss the fun of misunderstanding.
You can't help misunderstanding because you never think. But I have to worry through our life. Why shouldn't I know what I'm doing?
You'll be sorry. Then you'll keep quiet and hope for me to bring you soothing fantasies.
You keep quiet until I do.
Well, it's just 5 years today.
It's odd how life sweeps you on and on. The little nearby things seem big. They blot out the view as though you had your eyes pressed against them. And when you lift your head, it's 5 years.
So it seems short, has it? But it wasn't a little matter 5 years ago.
No, my 6 years before that with John had made me a wholly new being. If it hadn't been for my life with him, I'd have been incapable of taking the step I did.
So I owe to him the fact that you're with me. He made you broad-minded enough to be able...
You better stop there. Don't ask that question.
Fool, how can I keep from asking it once it's occurred to me?
Tell her your plans for the future. Tell her where we'll be at the end of the next 5 years.
How do I know where we'll be? Keep quiet.
Do you regret it?
Regret what?
What you did 5 years ago? Coming with me?
Of course not, dear. John was all right in his way, but I never could make him understand.
He didn't understand you?
That's not what I mean. Just in little matters. but his way of doing things sometimes frayed my nerves, and he never seemed to mind. He never changed.
Look at him today. He's successful, prosperous, 2 hits playing on Broadway at the same time. You'd be having a glorious time now.
Instead of cooking your meals and darning your socks while your plays come back from the managers, silly boy, do you think my happiness depends on how much you earn?
I think you do half regret it.
I love you, Harold.
You quit interfering with my work. Here I am trying to see straight, and you come slipping in your sweet romantic heroine sob stuff.
You know she loves me. Why shouldn't she be happy, even if things aren't all just what she wants? Do you still think you need money for real love?
No, but only a dreamer like you says happiness feeds on love.
She's got what she loves.
She has no leisure to love him. I wish I could get inside her and see how she really feels.
Don't you suppose I can take a little waiting with a smile? It won't be hard times forever, dear. This new play you're planning certainly ought to go across.
And if it doesn't?
If it doesn't, one will soon. You know I love you, and if I could give up John for you, you must be worthwhile.
So he's still your standard. Well, I suppose we must go on. That's the definition of life.
Harold, I wish you'd break your bread instead of biting it.
7,492. It's time to start something else.
There's no use starting anything else until you stop that habit. I'd be only too glad to not have to talk of it.
Oh, you'd reform the world if you had the chance.
Thank you. I find it hard enough to reform one man at a time. What are you staring at, Harold?
Someone I thought I knew. Don't turn around.
What do you mean? Is it John?
Yes. Did you finish your tea?
Not quite. Is he alone?
Yeah. He's looking mighty fine, too.
Careful now. Don't put too much whitewash on yourself. You know you're jealous.
I don't have to go yelling it all over the place, do I? I can talk sweetly about him. Anyway, I've got her.
Don't flatter yourself. She probably wishes she were with him.
It looks as though he owns the place.
He always did look dignified.
Hands his hat and cane to the waiter like a lord. Funny.
What?
His hat's just like mine. You picked this hat for me.
Well, what of it?
Now I'm through. Damn it, you're going just about the limit. Why can't you think for a while about that peach at the third table?
Shut up.
Look at the flapper. She's dancing as though she had an option on an angel in the Garden of Eden.
She'll wake up in Hell USA. Let me alone.
Look how pretty Mary is. She's as rosy as the maid that milks the cows in the advertisements. Touch your foot under the table.
I see how red she is. She's flushed because she thinks John's looking at her.
Mary, how did you come to like this kind of hat?
How queerly you ask that. I don't know, I just like it, that's all.
What kind of cigarettes does John smoke?
I don't remember.
I bet you do, and I can tell you. He smokes St. Anthony's. Do you know how I know? Because that's the brand you've taught me to use.
What do you mean?
I used to read the Tribune, now I read the World. I used to eat frankfurters and hamburgers. Now I only order steaks and chicken. I used to go to dances in a business suit, and now I have a full dress and a tuxedo. Why? Why?
Why, because I like those things and like you to look well.
No, because he likes those things. You spent 5 years trying to make me over into the image of him, to fashion my body and my mind so that I'm no longer myself, but John. I'll be damned if I stand for it. You won't make me over.
Come, what's all the heroics? Are you taking up my game? Be a man and stick to the woman you've chosen. It's nonsense, anyway, to say you're someone else. How can you ever be anything but yourself?
You're right. Run around the cage and wait for death to let down the bars.
I'm sorry, I've had a bad headache. Should we go home?
You're a queer fellow. Seems as though I'll never quite hold you down. Do I look all right?
Well, now what are you gonna do with it?
Try to get it used, of course.
What, that?
Why not? Isn't it a good plot? Isn't it well handled?
Don't feel so elated. I'm responsible for the writing. But you can't use that story. It's true.
Well, what of it?
If you have it published, John will see it, you fool. And he'll know that he won. He'll despise you.
Romanticist. John's a decent chap. He released Mary when we learned we loved one another. He'll understand.
Very well. He'll understand. And he'll pity you.
I give it up. He beats me here too. Am I the mirror of him? Must I smash the mirror?
John! Oh, Harold, you frightened me.
Yeah, I heard you call me in your sleep.
What are you doing up so late? Is anything wrong?
No, everything's all right. I've just been thinking the plot for my play.
Oh, I'm sleepy. Did you have a good idea?
Oh, no, it's no good. Just go back to bed. Just a foolish thought about a man who wakes up one day and discovers he's an echo.
Dinner parties have been a part of society as long as there has been food. As far back as ancient times, communal meals were an important part of social and religious gatherings. In medieval Europe, the concept of the formal dinner party emerged among the aristocracy, with elaborate feasts and banquets serving as a way to display wealth and social status. During the Renaissance, the dinner party evolved into an intimate affair, with smaller groups of guests gathering to enjoy fine foods and drink, engage in conversation and share ideas. In the 20th century, the dinner party became a popular social event amongst the middle class, with hosts often creating elaborate table settings and menus to impress their guests. 14 by Alice Gerstenberg details the struggles of canceling guests during a snowstorm, threatening the community and human interaction that a dinner party provides. Our actors in 14 will be the lovely Miss P. Money Peyton as Mrs. Pringle, multi-talented guest Addy as Elaine, and my associate and co-host Brandon as Dunham the butler. Please enjoy as the winds of this blizzard take us into 14.
Dunham, I've just had word from Mr. Harper that he was called away to bedside of a friend who is very ill. He sent me these flowers. It's a good thing he did. I don't approve of young men refusing dinner invitations at the very last minute.
I'll take the box and paper, Mrs. Pringle.
It's too bad. After you've said it all so beautifully. And it's getting so late. Someone might be coming at any moment. How's Cook?
Cook's in a temper as always, madam.
I'm glad to hear it. She's an actress. The better the temper, the better the performance. As long as she serves us a good dinner, I don't care how much she swears. The rest of you can just keep out of her way. Where's Gustav?
I'm sorry to have to say it, madam, but there's such an awful blizzard out, he's sweeping off the sidewalk.
Oh, dear me, yes, I should have ordered an awning. But who expected a storm like this?
Here are the place cards, Mother, and the diagram. Shall I put them around?
Yes, dear, Elaine. I'm going to look after your father. He's so helpless about his ties. Remove one plate, Dunham.
Remove one plate, madam. Oh, madam, it is a certainty. You wouldn't sit down with 13.
13? Why, you're right, 13. We can never sit down with 13. That's all due to Mr. Harper's negligence. Sick friend, nothing. He's just one of those careless men who never answers their invitation in time. His flowers, indeed, do make me forgive him. Now look at the trouble he's put me to. 13. Oh, I wonder whom could come in the last minute. Quick, Elaine, help me think.
There's always Uncle George.
He never opens his head.
Mr. Morgan, madam, he always tells a joke or two.
Why, yes, Dunham, that's clever of you. Hello? Central? Lakeview 5971. At once, please. Elaine, dear, your hair is much too tight. Pull it out. Pull it out. Come here. Mr. Morgan's well. This is Mrs. Pringle speaking. From across the street. Yes, when Mr. Morgan comes in, please tell him to call me up right away. I want him to dine with us in about 10 minutes. You expect him?
Oh.
Have him call me right away. Now, if he shouldn't get it, then what'll I do?
Well, Mother, I don't have to be at the table. It's your party anyways. Everyone's married and older than I am.
Didn't I put you next to Oliver Farnsworth? Millions. He's worth millions.
Well, he won't be giving me any.
Can't he marry you? Aren't you going to try and make a good match for yourself? I fling every eligible man I can at your head. Can't you finish the rest yourself?
It's no use, Mother. You're trying to marry me off to anyone as important as he is. He frightens me to death. I'll lose my tongue. I'm afraid of him as I'd be afraid of the Prince of Wales.
The Prince of Wales. Oh, what wouldn't I give to have the Prince of Wales in my house? New York has lost its heart to him. I was just telling Mr. Farnsworth yesterday that I'd give anything to have the Prince here. I would establish my social position for life, and I've such a reputation for being a wonderful hostess. Dear me, the phone? Hello? Mrs. Sedgwick, yes. This is Mrs. Pringle. What? No. Oh, caught in a snowdrift. Can't get another car. Good. The widow can't come. That leaves us 12. Remove 2 plates, Dunham. Oh, that's a shame. I'm heartbroken. Oh, my dear, how can we get along without you? But you really have tried. Oh, I'm reduced to tears. Goodbye, my dear. Well, I'm glad she dropped out. Central, give me Lakeview 5971. Dunham, with 2 less, you can save cocktails and at least 4 glasses of champagne. Has Mr. Morgan come in yet? Well, don't give him the message I telephoned before about crossing the street to Mrs. Pringle's for dinner. It's too late. You understand? Well, anyway, I've invited Clem, returned my indebtedness, and saved my champagne besides.
The liquor is getting low, madam, what with prohibition and entertaining so much.
But Mother, if you only have 12 people, Father can't sit at the head of the table.
But he has to sit at the head. It looks too undignified when the man of the house is pushed to the side.
There's no other way. There must be a woman at each end.
How absurd! I always forget. Of course 12 is an impossible number. I don't want to put any of these women at the head. There's Mrs. Darby, such a cat. I wouldn't give her the honor. And Mrs. Answer it, Dunham.
Hello? Mrs. Pringle's residence. A message. Yes, sir. What, sir? Mr. Darby. The doctor says your baby has the chicken pox.
Chicken pox? Elaine!
Mother!
Yes, sir. Mr. Darby sends his apologies, but owing to the transmutability of the disease, Mr. and Mrs. Darby feel obliged to regret, and also their house guests, Mr. and Mrs. Fleetwood.
That's 4 out.
Then you're only 8. Quick, the plate's done 'em.
Don't we know someone to invite to the last minute?
The Hatwoods?
They don't serve drinks when they entertain. I can't afford to have them drink mine.
The Greens?
She's not interesting enough.
Mr. Conley?
He never makes dinner call, even after all the times I've invited him.
Hester Longley?
Not at the same table with you and Oliver Farnsworth. She's far too pretty, too clever.
Where's our book?
The Tuppers. Good heavens, Elaine, 6 in the family.
That would get us back to 14, then Father could sit at the head of the table.
We'll try them. I'll rush and tell your father to hold up the drawing room.
Ridgeway 9325. This is Elaine Pringle. What Tupper am I speaking to? Oh, Ella, hello. I hope you haven't finished your dinner. We have a party arranged here, and at the last moment, everyone's been dropping out. The blizzard. Can't you flock your family around the corner and eat with us? Mother and I thought we knew you well enough to call you like this at the 7th hour. You would? Oh, fine. 6 more plates, Dunham. What? Oh, well, but... Dunham, get Mother quick. Yes. Yes. Of course. Love it. Why, certainly. Yes, my dear. All right. Great Caesar, now what have I done?
What's the matter? Elaine, what is it?
Now I've done it. I've just done it, but I couldn't get out of it. I just couldn't. You weren't here. I always lose my head and bungle things.
But what? Don't keep us waiting like this. What is it?
I invited Ella and the family, and she accepted, and they said they had 2 house guests, and it would be all right. Of course. I said it, and now we're at 16.
16? But madam, the table's not that long.
Elaine, that is just like you. No tact, no worldly wisdom. If I'd been at the phone, I'd have politely said that my table...
But you weren't at the phone. You ought to attend such messages yourself. You know I always lose my head.
But the dishes, madam, and we only have 14 squabs.
I won't eat any.
But I must not be disgraced. We'll have to make the best of it and insert another board.
But Mother, I needn't sit at the table.
You're going to sit right next to Oliver Farnsworth. Now, I don't wish to hear another word about it.
But can't we squeeze them in without all the work of adding another board? If I move the plates and the chairs closer...
Have you forgotten that Mr. Tupper weighs something like 250 pounds and Mrs. Crowley has no waistline? It can't be done.
Cook is in a rage, madam. She says she has only prepared for 14.
I can't help it. She'll have to prepare for 16. Tell her to open cans of soup and vegetables and...
But the ice cream forms and the gelatin molds.
I'll pretend I don't like them.
I'll pretend I'm on a diet.
But I really wouldn't have to be at the table.
Be still. The telephone. Now what? Don't answer it. It's driving me mad. Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Pringle. Oh, yes, Jessica! What? The blizzard. You're cold. Too dangerous. Oh, Jessica, you poor dear. Yes, your husband's right. It would be foolhardy. Put on a mustard plaster. Hot toddy. Go to bed. Oh, so sorry. There, that's wonderful. Now we are just 14.
But the cards are all wrong. Only 6 are coming who you invited originally. You'll have to make another diagram. How do you want them seated?
Give it to me.
Here's some fresh cards.
What a mess. I spend hours over that diagram. So much depends on having guests seated harmoniously. There's the front doorbell, Dunham. I told Annie to answer it for you, but go peek out the drawing room and tell me who it is. You murderous instrument. What have you to say? Now what? Hello? Who? Oh, Mr. Farnsworth. Mr. Oliver Farnsworth. No, you're his secretary. He's what? Instructed you to make his excuses. He has to leave for Boston at once on very important business. Oh, how dare he? How dare he? The last moment like this, no regard for a hostess's feelings, no regard for such efforts she goes through to provide for an evening's enjoyment, and such good dinner I planned, and he promised he would come. Business, I don't believe it. He didn't want to exert himself, was afraid of freezing in the blizzard, as if he didn't have half a dozen limousines to carry him to the door. Selfishness, downright rudeness, and worth millions. Just a match for you, Elaine, and I was bound you should meet him and sit next to him at the table. And now I don't know when I can give you the chance like that again. I'm perfectly furious. I'll never speak to him again. I won't be treated that way.
Perhaps he really did have business and was called away.
And one of the most important hostesses in this city. People clamoring to receive my invitations. All my affairs are a success. I insist they shall be. I can't be a failure. I won't have a failure. He was my most important guest. He's such a man's man. So important financially. Every other man considers it an honor to meet him. And now not coming, I'm furious. Furious. It's this damnable blizzard.
Now I will have to stay away from the table. His not coming makes us 13 again.
Go to bed. Up to the nursery. I'll send you milk and crackers.
But Mother, it's not my fault that he had business out of town.
Yes, it is. If you'd perk up a bit and not be so timid and make something of yourself, he would hear about your attractiveness from other men and be curious to meet you himself. Oh, what a family I have. No one to help me with my ambitions. Go to bed. I certainly won't sit down to 13. Go to bed. Get out of my sight.
It was Mr. Morgan, madam.
Mr. Morgan, but I telephoned his maid to tell him not to come.
He couldn't have received the second message, madam, for I heard him explaining to Mr. Pringle how happy he was to receive your telephone invitation.
That makes you 13 again, unless you don't want me to go to bed.
Of course I don't want you to go to bed. We're back where we started. 14. Dunham?
I'll get the cocktails ready, madam. Annie told me there were several motors making their way through the snow. It's late now, and cook's swearing about dinner getting too dry.
I won't answer it.
I should say not. Hello, what is it? Yes. Yes. Mrs. Tupper. Yes, Mrs. Tupper. But now you must come. We're prepared for you. Yes, for 8 of you. Your daughter told my daughter about your house guests, and we are delighted to have them. But we're set for you. Every place is set. But your daughter was quite right. It wasn't an imposition at all, but you must come now. Of course, my daughter has authority to invite the guests of... Oh, 8 isn't that all a big number. There is room. The table is all set. But I beg of you... But my dear, you are not imposing... Oh, but how foolish of you to take that stand. Why, my dear, my dear... Now, what do you think of that? Mrs. Tupper is perfectly furious at Ella for telling you about the house guests and says Ella has no tact, that nothing would induce her to bring 8 when we invited 6. So she's leaving Ella and Henry at home. Only 6 are coming. Remove 2 plates, Dunham. We're 12 after all.
But if you leave it at 12, Father can't sit at the end.
I shall go mad. I'll never entertain again. Never, never. People ought to know whether they're coming or not, but they accept and regret and accept. They drive me wild. This is my last dinner party, my very last. A fiasco, an utter fiasco. A haphazard crowd hurried together when I had planned everything so beautifully. And how shall I seat them? How shall I seat them? If I put Mr. Tupper here and Mr. Conley there, and then Mrs. Tupper has to sit next to her husband, if I want Mr. Morgan there, oh, it's impossible. I might as well put their names in a hat and draw them out at random. Never again. I'm through. Through with society, with parties, with friends. I wipe my slate clean. They'll miss my entertainment. They'll wish they had been more considerate. After this, I'm going to live for myself. I'm going to be selfish and hard and unsociable and drink my liquor myself instead of offering it gratis to the whole town. I'm through. Through with men like Oliver Farnsworth. I don't care how rich they are, how influential they are, how important they are. They're nothing without courtesy and consideration. Business. Off on a train. Nonsense. Didn't want to meet a sweet, pretty girl. Didn't want to marry her. Well, he's not good enough for you. Don't you marry him. Don't you dare marry him. I won't let you marry him. Do you hear? If you tried to elope or anything like that, I'd break it off. Yes, I would. Oliver Farnsworth would never get recognition from me. He is beneath my notices. I hate Oliver Farnsworth.
A note from Mr. Farnsworth, madam.
A note from Mr. Farnsworth.
Yes, madam, there are two strange gentlemen in the lower hall. They presented this letter. He said he was the secretary. All the other guests are upstairs in the drawing room, madam. I counted 12 in all, including you and Mr. Pringle and Miss Elaine, but the two gentlemen downstairs, madam, are waiting for your answer. The one gentleman's face looked very familiar, madam, but I just can't place him, although I'm sure I've seen his face before.
Seen his face? Somewhere. Oh my goodness, Elaine, it's the Prince of Wales!
The secretary said you cut off the telephone or Central disconnected you. He's about to tell you that Mr. Farnsworth knew that the blizzard had prevented His Highness from keeping an engagement uptown.
The Prince of Wales sitting in my lower hall, waiting for me to ask him to dinner.
Then we'll be 13 again.
There's the secretary, miss. He is his bodyguard.
Certainly. The secretary. Elaine, we shall be 14 at dinner. Serve the cocktails, Dunham. The guests may sit anywhere they choose. I shall bring the prince in with me.
But Mother, wasn't it nice of Oliver Farnsworth to send a prince in his place?
Didn't I always say that Oliver Farnsworth was the most considerate of men?
I think I shall like Mr. Farnsworth.
Silly child, it is too late now to like Mr. Farnsworth. It's time now to like the prince. I always manage to somehow be the most successful of hostesses. Thank God for the blizzard.
The concept of life and death is one of the most fundamental aspects of the human experience. Life is characterized by growth, change, and the experience of consciousness, while death represents the cessation of life and the loss of consciousness. For many, death is the source of fear and uncertainty, as it represents the unknown and the end of one's existence. However, death is also an essential part of the cycle of life, making way for new growth and renewal. The inevitability of death also serves as a reminder to live fully and to cherish each moment, as we never know when our time will come to an end. Ultimately, the concept of life and death is a complex and deeply personal one, shaped by individual beliefs, experiences, and perspectives on nature and existence. The Game by Louise Bryant showcases the game between the earth and the Grim Reaper, the embodiments of life and death themselves. The two play a game that death always seems to win, so life deploys a last attempt to win just once. Performing in the game, co-host extraordinaire Brandon as life, rock connoisseur Adam as death, fan favorite Logan as the youth, and the lovely lady Nat as the girl. We hope to enjoy this game of struggle between life and death.
50,000, 51, 65, 94, 37,
Come,
61,
life.
12,
Forget your losses.
7.
It's no fun playing with a dull partner. I'd hoped for a good game tonight, although there's little in it for me. Just a couple of suicides.
My dear Death, I wish you would grant me a favor.
A favor. A favor. Now isn't that just like a woman? I never saw one yet who was willing to abide by the results of a fair game.
But I want these two, whether I win or lose. I really must have them. They're geniuses, and you know how badly I'm in need of geniuses right now. Ungrateful, spoiled children. They always want to commit suicide over their first disappointments.
How many times must I tell you that the game must be played? It's the law. You know as well as I do.
Oh, the law. Laws are always in your favor, Death.
There you are. I always said the universe would be in a wild state of disorder if the woman had any say. No, you must play the game.
Whoever said anything about not playing? All I want is your consent to let them meet here before the game begins.
I'll bet this isn't so innocent as it sounds. Who are they? I haven't paid much attention to the case.
Youth and the girl. He is a poet, and she is a dancer.
A strong man and a beautiful woman. Up to the same old tricks, eh? You slide thing. You think if they meet, they'll fall in love and cheat me. Well, suppose I consent. What will you give?
I'll give you Kaiser Wilhelm, the Tsar of Russia, George of England, and old Francis Joseph. That's 2-1.
Now that's dishonest. You're always trying to unload a lot of monarchs on me when you know I don't want them. Why? When you play for them, you almost go to sleep and I always win. No bargaining in kings, my dear.
I'll give you a whole regiment of soldiers.
Soldiers? What do you care about soldiers? Look at your figures again. You've been losing millions of soldiers in Europe for the past 2 years. And you're much more excited about these two rattle-pated young idiots. Your idea of a fair trade is to get something for nothing. You love too much. With such covetousness, how can you ever know the thrill of chance?
Oh, I'll give you anything.
Shh. Too late. Here's one of them.
Youth! You've tricked me. You were only playing for time.
Come, sister. Be game. All's fair in everything but the dice. And just think, if you win this cast, the other is half won. They'll meet then.
Who are you?
I am life.
Oh, I'm through with you, and want none of you. And who are you?
I am death.
Death? How different from my dream of you. I thought you were somber, austere, and instead you're, if I may say, just a trifle commonplace.
I'm not as young as I once was. One's figure, you know. Look at her. A pleasing exterior, eh? And yet you wouldn't be seeking me if you didn't know better. Alas, my boy, beauty is not even skin deep.
That is true. Ah, Death. I've been seeking you for weeks.
Yet I am always present. Where did you seek me?
I tried poison, but just as I was about to swallow it, they snatched it from me. I tried to shoot myself. They cheated me. The pistol wouldn't go off.
Well-meaning idiots.
So I came here to leap into the sea.
Very good. Only hurry. Someone might come.
Why do you wish to die?
As if you didn't know. Did you not give me the power to string beautiful words into songs? Did you not give me love to sing and to take love away? I cannot sing any more. And yet you ask why I want to die. I'm not a slave. Slaves live just to eat and be clothed. You have plenty of them.
Yes, I have plenty of them.
If I cannot have love to warm me, I cannot create beauty. And if I cannot create beauty, I will not live.
Are you sure it was love? I think it was only desire I gave you. You did not seem ready for love.
Falsehoods. Evasions. What is love, then? You gave me a girl who sold flowers on the street. She had hair like gold and a body all curves and rose white like marble. I sang my songs for her, and the whole world listened. Then an ugly beast came and offered her gold, and she laughed at me and went away.
That is love, my boy. You are lucky to find it out so young.
Well, now I know it was desire.
Why will she persist in lying?
I am a sport and a gentleman, and I must admit that life is as truthful as I am.
Listen, youth, and answer me. Did your sweetheart understand your songs?
Why should she? Women do not have to understand. They must be fragrant and beautiful, like flowers.
And is that all?
I do not know many women.
I will show you one who understands your songs. She's coming here.
To leap into the sea like you.
Because she's lonely, waiting for you.
For me? But I do not know her.
But she knows you, through your songs.
And you have been seeking me for weeks. Are you to be fooled again by this tricky charlatan? You, who have had enough of life? There is no place for cowards amongst the lofty dead.
Oh, death, forgive me. Life, farewell.
Hold, we must play first.
So now it is you who are asking me to play. Come, life, do me a favor. Give me this one and the girl shall be yours.
No, the game must be played. It is the law. I have won.
Then I am to live, in spite of myself. Death, I've lost you. Life, I hate you. Without love, you are crueler than death.
Soon the girl will be here. Then you will think me beautiful.
That's the comedy of it. You probably will, you know.
Promises, promises. Love comes but one.
Who are you?
I am life.
Oh, life, dear, I must leave you. I cannot bear you any longer. You are so white and so cold.
What have you to complain of? Have I not given you fame and worship and wealth?
What are all these without love?
What? You without love? How about those who stand at the stage door every evening and send you flowers and jewels? One of them shot himself because you stamped on his flowers. Believe me, dear, that is all the love there is.
Love? No, that was desire.
Bah! Desire when they seek you, love when you seek them.
No, love understands me. They didn't. They wanted to buy me in order to destroy me. That is why I stamped on their flowers.
Ah, the young. Incurably sentimental.
Good. I'm glad you did.
Why? Who are you?
I am youth.
You, the poet? You? Oh, I know all your songs by heart. I have kissed every line. Always when I dance, I try to dance them. But why are you here?
He came to throw himself into the sea.
Oh no, you must not. What would the poor world do without your beautiful songs?
Do not be afraid, my dear. I have won.
Alas.
Why did you want to die?
His sweetheart left him.
His sweetheart? So he loved someone. I don't believe you. How could any woman he loved, when he sings so sweetly?
His songs meant nothing to her.
Nothing? Oh, then she was not worth your love. She was like the men who wait for me at the stage door. She wanted to destroy you.
Such is life, my dear young lady. Love is the destroyer always.
You are right. It is all a myth. Life, love, happiness. I must idolize someone, something, and then the bubble bursts and I am alone. No. If she could not understand, no one could understand.
Oh, how wrong you are. I understand. Don't you believe me? I have danced all you have sung. Do you remember the bird calls?
How beautiful. You do understand. You do. Wings flash and soar when you dance. You skim the sea gloriously, lifting your quivering feathery breast against the sunny wind. Dance again for me. Dance my cloud flight.
The loveliest of all. But I can never dance for you anymore. I came here to die.
And you'd forgotten it already. Oh, you're all alike, you suicides. Life's shallowest little deceit fools you again. Though you have seen through her and know her for what she is.
But I have found youth.
Yes, and youth has found love. Real love at last. Love that burns like fire and flowers like the trees. You shall not die. And I will fight you for her. Love is stronger than death.
Than life, you mean. Think of the great lovers of the world. Paula and Francesca, Romeo and Juliet, Tristan and Isolde. I claim them all. Who are you to set yourself up against such august precedents? You think he loves you? It is not you he loves, but your dancing of his songs. He is a poet, therefore he loves only himself and his sweetheart, for lack of whom he was going to die. See, he has already forgotten her, as you will one day be forgotten.
Why ask too much of me? I can only give happiness for a moment, but it is real happiness. Love, creation, unity with the tremendous rhythm of the universe. I can't promise it will endure. I won't say you will not someday be forgotten. What if it is himself he loves in you? That, too, is love.
To be supremely happy for a moment, an hour, that is worth living for.
Life offers you many things, I but one. She pours out the sunshine before you to make you glad. She sends the winter to chill your heart. She gives you love and desire and takes them away. She brings you warm quietness and kills it with hunger and anxiety. Life offers you many things, I but one. Come closer, tired heart, and hold out your weary hands. See what a pearl I offer to kings and beggars alike. Come, I will give you peace.
Peace? Do you think I want peace? I, a dancer, a child of the whirling winds. Do you think I would be blind to the sunlight, deaf to youth's music, to my sweet applause, dumb to laughter? All this joy that is in me, scattered in darkness. Dust in my hair, in my eyes, on my dancing feet. And yet life is so cruel.
My dearest, we will never leave one another.
She is mine.
Haven't you forgotten something? The game.
It is half won. She too has found love.
But in willing to die, she laid her life on the knees of the fates. So we must play for her. It is the law.
Oh, I'm not afraid to play. This time I have you, Death.
Have me? Ha! Nay, life. I'm cleverer than you. On this game hangs the doom of both.
Of both? You lie, Death. I have already won Youth. He cannot die.
Youth cannot die, you say? True. But the girl dies if I win. Isn't that so? Well, and if she dies, what then? He loves her, yet he cannot follow, nay. He shall live, forever mute, forever regretting his lost love, until you yourself will beg me to take him.
Oh, Death, I beg of you.
Ha ha ha! Life on her knees to death. No, sister, I couldn't help you if I would. It is the law. Let us play.
It is the law. Oh, I have won again.
Yes, curse the luck. But someday we'll play for those two again, and then it will be my turn.
Yes, but we will have lived. Until then, Death, you are powerless. I fear you not, and will guard her from you.
How brave, how strong, how beautiful is my lover.
Geniuses, geniuses! Well, it was a good game after all. You see, that's the difference between you and me. You play to win, and I play for the fun of the thing. But tell me, Life, why is it you make such a fuss over dreamers and care so little for soldiers?
Oh, soldiers don't matter one way or the other to me. But someday the dreamers will chain you to the earth, and I will have the game all my way.
That remains to be seen. But how about kings?
Kings are my enemies. Do you remember how careless I was during the French Revolution? I've always had it on my conscience, and I think I'd feel better if I told you. Whenever I throw a good combination, I juggled the dice.
I'm not surprised. Heavens, art woman unscrupulous? And yet they call me unfair. Well, I suppose I've got to keep an eye on you.
I warn you, I will stop at nothing. By the way, what's the game tomorrow night?
A plague. And in that game, I regret to say you haven't a chance in the world.
Don't forget, I have science to help me.
Science? A fool's toy. I sweep them all together in my net. The men of learning and the ones they try to cure.
But remember that the sun, the blessed healing sun, still rises every morning.
Oh, don't remind me of the sun.
200,000, 75, 310. I must never let him know how much I mind losing soldiers. They are the flowers of youth. There are dreamers among them.
On behalf of the entire cast and crew, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who listened to this episode of Mom Said It's My Turn on the podcast. Your support allows us to continue making experimental content like this. If you want to continue supporting us, we are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as @Momscast, as well as Mom Said It's My Turn on the podcast on Spotify and other podcasting platforms. I would like to extend my gratitude to our boys cast: Addy, Peyton, Brandon, Nat, Logan, and Adam. You came through on a tight schedule, and we really appreciate all that you guys do for us. I want to give special thanks to my co-host Brandon for putting and editing this together. I know it was a Herculean effort, and this passion project of ours could not have been completed without your skill set and expertise. Please, to our audience, continue to support small creators and the arts. I wish you a good evening, and this has been Mom Said It's My Turn on the podcast 20. Momscast presents the theater.